Hello, dear students. Today we shall study the new lesson In the Kingdom of Fools, written by A.K. Ramanujan. Kannada is a regional language mainly spoken in the state of Karnataka. This story is a Kannada folk tale. Folk tale means it's a story which is passed on from one generation to another. It is taken from the book Folk Tales from India, written by A.K. Ramanujan. First of all, let us discuss the title of the story, that is In the Kingdom of Fools, which means the state where people are not so wise, they are not intelligent. In this story, the king, his ministers, and his advisors are fools. That means they are not wise and intelligent. When this kind of people rule the kingdom, then what and all happens has been told in this story. So now let us see the story line by line. In the kingdom of fools, both the king and the minister were idiots. They didn't want to run things like other kings. So they decided to change the night into day and day into night. They ordered that everyone should be awake at night, till their fields and run their businesses only after dark, and go to bed as soon as the sun came up. Anyone who disobeyed would be punished with death. The people did as they were told for fear of death. So, dear students, here the king in the kingdom of fools, both king and his ministers were unintelligent, and the king and his minister did not want to run their kingdom like other kings did. So, they decided to do something different. They started treating night as day and day as night. They ordered that the work which was done at night would be done in the during the daytime, and the work which was done during the daytime will be done during night time. And also they passed an order that everyone in the kingdom would work at night. Nobody would sleep at night. The farmers would do farming at night, and the ones who run businesses would do business at night. As soon as the sun rose, everyone would go to sleep. If someone would disobey the order, he would be punished with the death. Let us see the next. The king and the minister were delighted at the success of their project. One day, a guru and his disciple arrived in the city. It was a beautiful city. It was broad daylight, but there was no one about. Everyone was asleep. Not a mouse stirring, even the cattle had been taught to sleep by day. The two strangers were amazed by what they saw around them and wandered around town till evening, when suddenly the whole town woke up and went about its nightly business. Dear students, here stirring means moving around, and guru means saint, and amazed means shocked and surprised. So here the people were scared that if they did not obey the king's order, they would be sentenced with the death penalty. So they obeyed the order, although it was very strange. The king and his minister, both the fools, were very happy that all the people in the kingdom were following their order. So one day a saint arrived in the kingdom of fools along with one of his disciples. He saw that it was a beautiful city. It was a sunny day, but could not find anyone around. They were surprised. Everyone was asleep. And the writer says that not a mouse was stirring. Stirring means I told you that moving around. They could not find a single mouse moving around, which means that it was so quiet as everyone, even the tiniest creatures, the mice, were asleep. The people had taught their cattle to sleep during daytime, so everyone, human as well as animals, were sleeping. These two strangers to the king. These two are the strangers to the kingdom of fools, and they were not aware that this kind of order had been passed in the city. So they were surprised to see that everyone was sleeping during daytime. They kept on wandering around the whole city, and as soon as it was night, everyone woke up and started doing their work. Businessmen were doing business and farmers were farming. Let us see further. The two men were hungry. Now that the shops were open, they went to buy some groceries. To their astonishment, they found that everything cost the same, a single dudu. Whether they bought a measure of rice or a bunch of bananas, it cost a dudu. The Guru and his disciple were delighted. They had never heard of anything like this. They could buy all the food they wanted for a rupee. Dear students, here Duddu means Hana, money in Kannada language. So here the Guru and his disciples were very hungry. When the shops opened at night, they went to buy groceries. They were surprised to see that whatever they bought from the shop costed 1 rupee. The things were very cheap out there. Whether you buy a big bunch of bananas or buy a big bag of rice, it costed only one duddu. Everything was at the same price in the kingdom of fools. The Guru and his disciple were very happy because of the food in the kingdom was very cheap. You could buy a lot of food just for a rupee. Let us go further. When they had cooked and eaten, the Guru realized that this was a kingdom of fools and it would not be a good idea for them to stay there. This is no place for us. Let us go, he said to his disciple. But the disciple did not want to leave the place. Everything was cheap here. All he wanted was good, cheap food. The Guru said, "They are all fools. This won't last very long, and you can't tell what they will do to you next." So, here, when the Guru and his disciple cooked and ate their food, the Guru realized that the kingdom was a kingdom of fools and decided not to stay there any longer because it was unsafe for them. The wise Guru told his disciple that the place was not right for them and asked him to leave at once. The disciple was a foodie. He loved to eat, and that is why he did not want to leave this place because the food was cheap there. But the Guru tried to make his disciple understand and told him that everyone out there was a fool and was very dangerous. The kingdom would not last a long time and they could harm them too. Let us see the next. But the disciple would not listen to the Guru's wisdom. He wanted to stay. The Guru finally gave up and said, "Do what you want, I am going," and left. The disciple stayed on, ate his fill every day, bananas and ghee and rice and wheat, and grew fat like a street side sacred bull. So, dear students, here this disciple is not foresighted like his guru and could not understand what his guru was trying to say. So, he wanted to live there only and enjoy the cheap food. Finally, the guru left alone, leaving the disciple behind. So, the disciple stayed back in the kingdom of fools. Every day he ate a lot of food, due to which he became as fat as a huge bull. Let us see further. One bright day, a thief broke into a rich merchant's house. He had made a hole in the wall and sneaked in. And as he was carrying out his loot, the wall of the old house collapsed on his head and killed him on the spot. His brother ran to the king and complained, "Your Highness, when my brother was pursuing his ancient trade, a wall fell on him and killed him. This merchant is to blame. He should have built a good, strong wall. You must punish the wrongdoer and compensate the family for this injustice. Dear students, here pursuing means to follow. And ancient trade here is refers to the theft. So one day a theft entered to a merchant's house. He made a hole in the wall to gain access. When he was about to move out of the house, after looting all the things, the wall broke and fell down on his head, and he died there itself. And because of that, the thief's younger brother went to the king and complained that his brother was following his ancient trade. I told you ancient trade is nothing but that is robbery. Actually, it is a crime. While he was working, the wall fell on his head and he died. The thief's brother was taking advantage of the king foolishness. He said that the merchant whose wall has fallen down on his brother was the culprit. He should have made a strong wall. He requested the king to punish the merchant and get compensation for his family. Let us go further. The king said, "Justice will be done, don't worry," and at once summoned the owner of the house. When the merchant arrived, the king questioned him, "What is your name?" "Such and such, your highness." "Were you at home when the dead man burgled your house?" "Yes, my lord. He broke in and the wall was weak. It fell on him." The accused pleads guilty. "Your wall killed this man's brother. You have murdered a man. We have to punish you." Dear students, here the king was so foolish that he did not consider the fact that the dead man was committing theft at that time of his death. He only thought that the man died because the wall fell on him, and the owner of the house whose wall fell on him had to be punished. So he called the merchant. Summoned means to call. And as soon as the merchant appeared, the king asked his name. Then the king asked him whether he was at home when the dead man, the thief, was burgling his house. The merchant replied that he was at home only. And the thief made a hole in the wall and entered his house. And when he was trying to go out, the wall fell down on him because it was weak. Then the king told the merchant that he was guilty, he did wrong due to his weak wall, the thief died, and now he would be punished. "Lord," said the helpless merchant, "I did not put up the wall. It's really the fault of the man who built the wall. He did not build it right. You should punish him." "Who is that?" "My lord, this wall was built in my father's time. I know the man. He is an old man now. He lives nearby." So here the merchant pleaded in front of the king, requested that, "My lord, it was not my fault. The wall was weak because the person who made the wall did not construct it properly. Hence, you should punish him." And further, he added that the wall was made during his father's time. The person who built it was very old, and he knew him as he lived nearby. The king sent out messengers to bring in the bricklayer who had built the wall. They brought him, tied hand and foot. "You there, did you build this man's wall in his father's time?" "Yes, my lord, I did." "What kind of a wall is this that you built?" "It has fallen on a poor man and killed him. You have murdered him. We have to punish you by death." Dear students, here bricklayer means is a person who lays the bricks and build the wall. So the king sends his soldier to call the bricklayer who built the wall. They tied his hands and feet and brought him in the king's palace. And king asked him that did he build the wall, and he replied that yes, he did. So the king said that the man had built a weak wall. the wall fell on the poor thief's head and killed him. So the bricklayer would be punished for this with the death. Before the king could order the execution, the poor bricklayer pleaded, "Please listen to me before you give your orders. It's true, I built this wall and it was no good. But that was because my mind was not on it. I remember very well a dancing girl who was going up and down that street all day with her anklets jingling, and I could not keep my eyes or mind on the wall I was building. You must get the dancing girl. I know where she lives." So, dear students, here everyone is passing on the blame to another person. When the king was about to pass an order to execute the bricklayer, he requested the king to listen to him, and he agreed that he did not make the wall properly. It was because of a girl who was roaming around in the street, and her anklets were making a jingling sound. Due to her anklets jingling sound, he was not able to concentrate on his work and so built a weak wall. It was not his mistake, it was the fault of the girl. He added that he knew very well where this dancing girl lived. She should be punished instead of him. You are right. The case deepens. We must look into it. It is not easy to judge such complicated cases. Let us get that dancer wherever she is. So here the king was satisfied with the bricklayer's explanation. So he was convinced with him. He tells that this case is very complicated and will not be able to solve it so easily. So he ordered his messenger to get the dancer girl. The dancer girl, now an old woman, came trembling to the court. "Did you walk up and down that street many years ago while this poor man was building a wall? Did you see him?" "Yes, my lord, I remember it very well." "So you did walk up and down with your anklets jingling. You were young and you distracted him. So he built a bad wall. It has fallen on a poor burglar and killed him. You have killed an innocent man. You will have to be punished." So, dear students, here the dancing girl had become an old woman, and she was trembling as she entered the court. The king asked her that many years ago was she dancing and roaming around in the lane while the bricklayer was constructing the wall. Her movement distracted him. She confirmed him. He told her that yes, as she was roaming around with her anklets jingling, it distracted the bricklayer. Due to this, he could not do his work properly. He built a bad wall which fell on the thief, and he was killed. It was because of her that the thief died, and she would be punished with the death. Let us see next. She thought for a minute and said, "My lord, wait. I know now why I was walking up and down that street. I had given some gold to the goldsmith to make some jewelry for me. He was a lazy scoundrel. He made so many excuses. Said he would give it now and he would give it then, and so on all day. He made me walk up and down to his house a dozen times. That was when this bricklayer saw me. It's not my fault, my lord. It's the damned goldsmith's fault." Dear students, here goldsmith is a person who makes ornaments out of the gold, and scoundrel means a dishonest person. So the dancing girl transferred the blame into another person, that she said that she was roaming around in this lane again and again because she had to visit the goldsmith's shop. She had given some gold to him to make jewelry out of it. He was a dishonest person. He was making excuses for not making her ornaments in time. He kept on asking her to come after some time. Due to this, she had to go to his house at least a dozen times. So the dancing girl said that it was the fault of the goldsmith. Further, this dancing girl says that when the bricklayer saw her and got distracted, it was the fault of the goldsmith because of whom she was roaming in the lane again and again. Thank you, dear students. The remaining part of the story will be continued in the next class.